Hey folks, Justin from Tackle Tactics. Today we are up the creek. The forecast is for wind later in the day, so we're going to go up the creek, hide, find ourselves a few fish, and today we're throwing the ZMan 2.5 inch prawns. We're going to rig it in a few different ways, and we're going to talk you through how we fish some different structure types. Let's get into it. Yep. Oh, get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, didn't that hit it? I think I'm going to say grunter. But he drilled it right on that edge. He's a solid grunter. So we've snuck up the creek, dodging the wind. Just working. Oh, pulled the hook. What a killer. We're just working a mangrove edge. Oh, brutal start to the day. That was a nice size spotted grunter or silver grunter. 1/8 head with that 2.5 inch prawns in blood oil colour. So it's just a good all round prospecting sort of weight, that 1/8. Fishing in sort of 1/2 metre to a couple of metres of water. So we're just picking our way along a mangrove edge. That guy hit it very hard, straight to the top. I didn't get a good hook set on him. So hopefully the next one we can keep on the hook. All right, so we're in the creek here, basically picking edges. So it's tight in here, there's not a lot of room, but because we've got a nice steep edge on that drop off of the creek, yep. The fish don't, well, that's a lot smaller than the last guy. But there must be a few grunter in this area here, so he's drilled it. He's only a little handful of grunter. There might be some bigger ones in here. So we're basically just prospecting the edges. So it's a nice steep drop off. So we can be in fairly tight. Get that plastic right onto that mangrove drop off, let it drop down the mud face, sort of let it sit at the bottom a bit, and then we're just sort of hopping and twitching and shaking our way back out. So on the bottom there, that 1/8 head gives us good weight for just pitching a cast in there. Onto that edge, I can see the defined edge there. We're just bringing it back off that edge. So hit the bottom, couple of shakes. You can see that fish was pretty aggressive. We've got an incoming tide pushing in, so these fish are pushing up into the creek here to feed. So we'll just pick our way along the edges and see if we can find a couple of different species in the creek here. Oh wow. Oh, don't forget, if you're fishing a good bit of structure and you hang one rod up in the tree, get another rod, leave that one in the tree for a bit, grab your other rod and work that stump over. In a situation like this, you're inevitably going to put one or two in the trees, so got to be in it to win it, as they say. So basically all I'm doing here, we're working our way along the edge, so I'm making the cast right into the edge. The trick is you want to allow it to fall down that mud face, so we don't want to bring it away from there too quickly. We're fishing tight area, so I'm not actually winding the reel so much. I'm just giving it a shake, winding up that bit of slack, trying to keep it in that strike zone close to the bank for as long as I can. That's where the fish are holding in around that structure. So we want to give our presentation plenty of time in that structure. So that 1/8 ounce head is nice for just getting into that edge, allow it to fall down the edge. I can see it hit the bottom. We're on the bottom and I'm basically just giving it a shake, and that'll attract the attention of any fish that are patrolling and working along that edge. Give it a few shakes. We're just trying to keep it in around that edge as long as we can. Hopefully fish comes along, nails it. You want to be ready for the strike too, because a lot of the time, like that there, you'll make the cast and the fish will drill it on the sink. So only a little fella, little Mosesy, you can see where he was, the tree just fell off there. He's only a little bloke, but the key with that was I was ready for the strike as that lure was sinking. It just sunk down, tick, felt him eat it, set the hook, got the fish. So, you know, it could be a Moses perch like that little guy, but it also could be a big jack or a big grunter lurking in along that edge. So be ready, buckle up. Yep. That was pretty cool. We saw some prawns flicking up in the mangroves here. And we're fishing a prawn, so pretty good chance that this guy would eat it. So we saw the brim on the prawns in there. He's a solid brim. Nice chunk of creek brim. He scoffed that prawn, so that was really, really cool. We saw the prawns flicking. We saw the back of the brim come out of the water. He was chasing the prawns, made the cast. I gave it a few twitches at first and he wasn't real interested. As soon as I paused it, let it fall to the bottom, and then twitched it again, bang, he was straight on it. So there you go. Nice little handful of creek brim. Picking the mangroves with that 1/8 ounce head on that 2.5 inch prawns in blood oil colour. So, all right, there we go. A quick switch across to the other side of the creek. Saw those brim feeding, made that cast in there, and that guy has nailed that there. So that's brilliant. That's that 1/8 ounce in the HeadlockZ Finesse UV painted. I love those painted heads when I match them up with the plastic that I'm fishing. So that's the blood oil colour with the motor oil coloured head. So it looks very, very natural to those fish, and he was straight on it. We'll send him back. See you, buddy. Let's get his mates. You might be able to see in here, what we look for a lot of the time is you'll get a solid mangrove edge, but then there's a pocket in the back there like that, and that's where fish will often push up in there. There's a lot of trees in the water. There's a break in there, like a little bay that'll draw the prawns in, and the fish will often hunt up into that pocket there. So we make a cast up into, we're almost getting it as far up into the mangroves as we can, in between the trees, and then working it out off that edge. A lot of the time you'll see when I cast in that shallow, I'll keep the rod tip up and twitch the prawn up high in the water column as I bring it out of there, just so it doesn't foul up on those mangrove roots. And then as I get it out off the edge, then I'll let it fall and fish that edge as well. Oh yeah, right on that log. Oh, right on the log. Oh, you would not believe it. You would not believe it. This fell down on that log. This guy's had a go at it. He hasn't found the hook with his gob, but that Gamakatsu chemically sharpened hook certainly found him. That's what you get when you creek fish. You get a mixed bag of species, that's for sure. So, in the mouth next time, buddy. All right, a great tip when you're fishing up into the creeks, like we are here, up fishing the mangroves, is to work out your tides for the area that you're fishing. So you don't want the tide pushing too far back in the mangroves, otherwise that's where the fish will end up. The fish will push right back up into the mangroves. So you want a tide where there's enough water for the fish to get up onto the bank and up onto those mangrove spikes and around the bases of the trees, but not push right back up into the system. So we've got a 2 metre tide today, which is great for our system. I can see where the water's getting to. It's very, very shallow up the back. So I know that the fish are going to be pushing and sitting on the edge of the trees here, hustling those prawns and hopefully eating our ZMan 2.5 inch prawn. Yep. Oh, perfect structure there. You can see that's fairly obvious sort of structure, lay down timber. So I cast basically up into the fork of that lay down. So lay downs will often, if they're two pieces of two branches, they'll go up into a V. Cast right up in that V. He's only a little fella, but that was right where he should have been, right up in that V. So nice cast up into tight country and fish on. Little creek brim. See you later, buddy. When you do find yourself fishing really shallow water like we are here, we've snuck into a little tiny side arm off the main creek, and the water's between sort of 80 centimetres to no water. So really, really shallow. We're fishing around structure. The ultimate finesse jig head that you can rig is the TTHWS, the hidden weight system jig head. Basically gets its name because the weight of the jig head is the keeper that's hidden inside the plastic. So once you rig that plastic, it's very, very natural and has a nice slow horizontal sink. So you can see our toe point there and the hook, and that's pretty much all that's sticking out of the plastic. So very natural, nice slow natural sink, and the fish just eat it. So perfect for shallow water presentations and also for fishing high around structure like pontoons, mangroves and rock walls. Yep. Oh, right on that point. Oh, Brimbo just drilled that. Oh, come on, mate. Oh, he was heading out of here. Come on, buddy. Don't do that to me. Oh, it's a grunter. No wonder he gave me so much stick. That was that hidden weight system. Just popped up into the little point there. He was sitting right on the end of the point hunting prawns probably. So that really, really light hidden weight system jig head, I just let it flutter down. I gave it a couple of twitches and bang, he just nailed it. So there we go on the little fella, but right up in the shallows there on that hidden weight system jig head. We'll send him back and we'll keep pushing up into this shallow little offshoot of the main creek. See you, mate. Yep, ate it on the paws. Oh yeah, brutal. Oh, that was brilliant. Oh, wow. Yeah, it was. I wasn't doing anything. Just let it sitting on the bottom. He took me through some random weed. I think I might be having one of those days. That nice grunter fell off and that guy then felt like a jack. Picked it up on the paws. The plastic's naturally buoyant, so it would have been sitting up off the bottom. He's just picked it up. I've whacked him and I haven't got enough meat, I don't think, and he's yeah, got me back through a bit of weed and stuff and pulled the hook. I'll keep plugging away, that's fishing. All right, so we had our run-in tide up the creek, nailed a few bream and a couple of grunter. A bit unlucky with the hook pull on a grunter and also probably a jack, I'd say, off an area that was holding a lot of potty mullet. So most of the fishing we did up the creek further was fishing mangrove edges on the higher stages of the tide. Now that the tide's starting to drop out, we've moved out towards the mouth of the creek more. We've got a rock bar area here, so we're going to hit a few little rock bars. They're a great place to try in the creeks. Rock bars create current breaks and eddies. They hold bait and they attract fish. Then we're going to get out a bit further and fish a few weed edges and sandy drains and see if we can find ourselves a flatty. So possibly a jack and a grunter done for the day, but we're going to make it up now on the second half of the session as we move out into the mouth of the creek. Fish on. So you might be able to see based on the movement of the water here, water movement is a great way to work out what's going on underneath the water. So here you can probably see the surging of the water pushing up. It's flattening out over the rock bar and then dropping down and it's a bit more turbulent again. So you can see the pressure along that rock bar there. So basically we're going to cast our lure right up onto the edge of the rock bar and we're bouncing it down the face of that. So we'll just let it fall and bump along the bottom there, and fish will sit in behind this rock bar because of those eddies and that break from the current, and the bait will come up and sit in behind this rock bar as well. So, you know, you could catch almost any sort of species sitting behind a rock bar in a creek mouth. Trevally, tailor, flathead, jacks, cod, all sorts of things will hold around rocks. So if you've got some rock in your local creek, rock bar or rock edges and that sort of thing, always worth a few casts for sure. Yep, there we go. As we were saying, find some rocks. So that guy's come from around the rocks, doesn't feel huge. Mosesy, they love rocks, they love creeks. No doubt he'll have some mates in there. But that's a beautiful little fish off a rock bar as we move back out towards the creek mouth to chase a flatty. See you, buddy. I'm sure his big mates are down there. Oh, not happy. We had a bit of fun up the creek, but that wind's picked up. We've moved out of the creek. Wasn't really happening. We only got that one little fella on the rock bar. We've got ourselves a reasonable grunter. Might just put the net under that fella. He's not a giant, but I want to keep him on there after I lost that one earlier. Get in here, buddy. There we go. We know what that bloke is. He's having a chat to us. There you go, that's that 1/4 ounce 1.0 and a DemonZ. Just a nice weight for dropping on to this edge that we're fishing. So we've come out of the creek mouth and we're fishing the edges at the mouth of the creek. Settle down, mate. There we go, just got to watch that guy. He's got a few spikes and some gill rakers. Oh, just a little grunter. Good fun on light gear, that 2 to 4 kilo gear, but that's a little grunter on that 2.5 inch prawns. Everything eats a prawns. Got a bunch of species today. That's on the Houdini colour with a gold head there in that 1/4 ounce 1.0. So Just a little grunt, we'll send him back on his way. See you, buddy. We'll see if we can go and tell those flatfish to bite. That's what we're looking for. Righto, so we've moved out of that creek mouth. We're out fishing the banks out the front, hoping for a flatty. Creek mouth was a little bit quiet, not a lot of bait or anything like that, so we've moved to a bank. Wind's a bit annoying, so we've set ourselves up on a wind-blown bank. Wind-blown banks often fish really well because it'll blow warm water, blow bait, all that sort of thing onto that edge. So wind-blown banks can be quite active, so we've just picked one here that's weed and it drops off to a sort of sandy, rubbly bottom. Just flicking that prawn ahead of the current, so we're basically holding on spot lock. The water is flowing this way, the wind's pushing us this way. We're using the wind to throw a long cast and the current to bring our lure back. And we're just bouncing it back naturally with the flow. So that wind at my back allows me to punch a cast, get good distance and get good accuracy to where I want it to go. And then that tidal flow bringing it back, bounce that prawn along the bottom and everything eats a prawn. So we're hoping to find a flatfish along this edge. We'll see how we go. All right, what are you, buddy? Are you the flat guy we've been after? No, you're silver as well. Oh, it's a grunter fest this afternoon. Oh, that turn of the tide. We've come out of the creek, straight onto a couple of grunter. Oh. Those grunter would be hunting along this edge as the tide drops. The tide's coming off the flats, the bait's getting pushed off the flats, and these guys are hunting right along that edge. So just making casts right into the edge there, letting it drop and just hopping it out from that edge. And yeah, he's just drilled it. That's the opening night colour on that one. Water's pretty clean, so changed it up and just gone that different colour. 2.5 inch prawns. Whoa, 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 whoa. Settle down, buddy. I'm going to send you back. See you, mate. Alrighto, Brimbo. Just picking a weed edge. Brim love the prawns. I reckon he's got a few mates with him out there as well. So we'll just give it a quick flick back out there and see if we can get another one. Not a big one, but they're good fun when they just whack that prawn as soon as it hits the water. Just found a little deeper pocket in some weed. Make that cast up into that deeper pocket. There'll often be fish holding in those deeper pockets of sand up in amongst the weed. Pretty cool. So I'm just working into this sort of drain area here and just picking out the holes. So we've done a bit of everything today. We were going to have a creek session primarily, but it was a little bit quiet up the creek, so we've mixed it up a bit, which is what you got to do sometimes when the day's not really firing. Mix it up, move around, change things up, and that's what we've done. Back on the 1/8 ounce head for fishing this shallower stuff. Good fun on light spin gear. Oh, onto a little patch of flatties now. Schooling fish, once you find one, you can often find more. So just keep what you need for a feed if you are keeping a fish or two. Let the rest of them go. We've had a quick little run on a bunch of fish. This one's another legal fish, nice fish. Just picking pockets in the weed. 2 to 4 kilo spin gear. I've got a 2 to 4 kilo. Oh, almost messed up the net job. 2 to 4 kilo in the TT Red Belly. Ceymar HD 2500, 6 pound Platypus Braid. Pulse X8. Oh, and I've got a 10 pound leader on there because once you see these guys shake their heads, you definitely want that 10 pound leader on there so that you can protect it from those raspy mouths of the flathead. Oh, we've lassoed him. Hooked around the gill. There we go. That one has scoffed it, absolutely scoffed it. Somewhere in there is a ZMan 2.5 inch prawns in Houdini colour. 1/4 ounce 10 TT DemonZ Jighead in there somewhere with that Gamakatsu hook pinning that fish beautifully, but it has absolutely inhaled that ZMan 2.5 inch prawns. Loving it. Coming home strong with a nice run of flathead. I don't know if you can see the teeth on that guy there, but he's got some teeth and you can hear that raspy mouth that they've got that chews your leaders up. That'll rip things to bits, so I'm not going to stick my fingers in there. I'm going in there with the pliers. Grab the bend of the hook and I'll just give it a twist and out we go. So that hook is out. Fish is ready to go. We'll get out there and see if we can find ourselves another one. All right, we've certainly done the miles today. We're finally starting to get a few smiles in amongst them. We've covered some water, we've hit a few different spots, which is what you've got to do when it's windy like it is today. Hasn't been fishing real consistent anywhere, but we've ended up in a nice drain. And that's a better fish, that's a better fish. There we go, the prawns. Prawns comes through in the end with a nice flatty. That one's getting into the 50s. Nice, solid, healthy fish on that Houdini colour. So we've mixed it up a bit. We've stepped up to the quarter just so that we can manage the wind a bit better. That wind is blowing. We don't really need a 1/4 ounce jighead in here where we're fishing, because it's only shallow water. But that 1/4 ounce allows us accuracy with our casts, and we can really punch in and pick those sand pockets in amongst the weeds. So that's pretty nice fish. I'm happy with that one to finish off the session. Been a tough one in the wind, but a good mixed bag of species on the ZMan 2.5 inch prawns. It always produces when you're fishing the estuaries and river systems. Everything eats a prawn, and today we've got 4 or 5 species eating that deadly little ZMan 2.5 inch prawns. Fish on.